Hello, everybody. All right, so we're on part 15 of our review. We're going through the handbook cover to cover, ripping it to pieces, going through each problem, talking it, taking sidebars. I'm Greg from GregsTutoringNYC. I'm a tutor in the New York City area. I tutor for many standardized tests, including the SHSAT. Welcome, everybody. I see a few people in the lobby there already. Let me make sure we're live here. Pieces going through each problem. Okay, yes, we are. All right, I'm gonna keep the chat running on here. All right, so yesterday and today, a few of you guys should have gotten your letters from your school, an email from your principal, perhaps, or your guidance counselor, and some of you getting tickets. The average response seems to be that you're supposed to be in your school about 8:30. That seems to be what's happening across a lot of the schools. So 8:30 in the morning, you're going to probably have half an hour to get to your seat. The test probably starts at 9. There'll be half an hour of practice stuff like how to fill in the grid-ins, make sure your name is right, all that kind of stuff like that. And probably by 9:15 or 9:30, the test will start. And most of you are going to have 3 hours. Some of you are going to have more. So by 12:15 or 1, you'll be done. All right? So hopefully you're good by then. We're going to jump in and just keep plowing forward with the math here. Welcome everybody. Again, if you're catching us on the replay, you could hit pause. I'd love for this being interactive. So if you guys know some of the answers or you have questions about what I'm saying or whatever, just pop them out there. If you have questions that are not about the topic, throw them out there too, and I'll either just answer them live or I'll postpone them to the end or something like that, or figure out when to fit them in. So whatever you want. Of course, you guys can talk amongst yourselves as long as you're being respectful. All right, so we're T minus, what do you have, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? We're T minus 4. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, so you guys should see the problems on your screen right now. So we're gonna do number 82. 1 second. Why is that not showing up? Come on. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're gonna look. My approach is to look at the illustration first. Okay, then look at the words. So first do the illustration, then look at the words. Sometimes there's words above an illustration here. I still look at the illustration first, then I might come here, and then I will come to 3, okay? So I'm always just trying to look at the figure, and even though I'm going to talk about this, it might take a minute or two to talk about it, this is happening in my head in 1 second. The whole thing's taking a second, okay? So I see there's 4 points, M, N, P, Q, right? There are different things. There doesn't seem to be any realistic thing there, even though most illustrations are not to scale. N might be the midpoint. I'm not sure there. MN is X. MP is Y. This thing here, and I might actually draw on it, is not named, so that's unnamed. So perhaps they're going to ask us this. That's my wild guess. Or they're going to ask us something else, perhaps related to that. Yeah, you should check my schools as well. But since you're grade 9, so far everybody I've heard from is a grade 8er. So that might be why. Okay. And I have a feeling they're going to add on an extra day or two somewhere in this process as well. So I think so far they're just focusing on the January 27th date. Because they also, registration closed, but they're also saying it's extended. So because it's extended, the kids who didn't register, who registered after the 15th, are going to get another date. There's another date they're not saying, which is February 10th, which is the makeup date. So I have a feeling they're going to put some kids there. And I also have a feeling there's going to be 1 or 2 more days still. Okay. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. It's not very encouraging, but this is the way the DOE does stuff. The test finally seems like it's going to be real, so we gotta just deal with it as it may. All right. So N is the midpoint, so that is the midpoint. So then it means if this is MN, then NQ must also be X. So I'm just mimicking this here. That's X. This here must also be length of X as well. Okay. And even though I was talking about the illustration, I switched to Cassie's question. There's really nothing else in the illustration there that we could get at. Yeah, and it's up to each school. It seems to be trickling out. So, yeah, the ticket's literally not needed, but if you have a ticket, print it out with you anyway and bring it with you. The schools will be printing tickets for you as well when you get there. You should also have an electronic copy accessible from your phone. If you have your ID, bring it as well. Even though all these are not required, just bring them so that if there's some bump in the road, so to speak, that you guys will all have what you need to have. It means that you don't literally have to have the ticket, but you would have known that already. So you would have received the info from the school. And past years, you absolutely needed the ticket because you were going to a giant school where they didn't know who you were. In this case, it's going to be some of your same teachers and so on. So there's less of a security issue per se. All right, but you should still bring your ID, still bring your letter if you have it printed out. If not, at least have it available on your phone. Email it to yourself or something like that. So if you somehow asked or there's some confusion, that you can still get it. Okay, because that'll be the day, even though they say that they can print it out when you get there, that'll be the day that the school's printer breaks or something like that. All right, so just have it as your backup. You don't want to slow down the thing. You don't want the test to be delayed half an hour just because they're trying to get their act together or they're still trying to process all the kids coming in. All right, so N is the midpoint. Okay, and of MQ, which segment has length 2x minus y? Well, the fact that I just put x here and here, 2x is the whole thing here then. That's 2x, it's got to be. If this is x and that's x, then the whole length has got to be 2x. Okay? If we subtract y from that, that's from here to here. Right? So that is what's left, what I originally said. That's what they're looking for. They're taking the whole length, they're removing y from it, right? So you're going to have up to here. So all we're left is PQ. And that's what the question is. So the answer would be E there. Okay? So that one shouldn't have really been tricky at any level for you guys. What should you do if you don't receive your ticket at all? Hold on for a day or two because you still have until Wednesday. But I would say if you don't, by the end of Monday, if you don't get it, definitely contact your guidance counselor on Tuesday. And don't relent until they give you an answer. Don't let them just say it's okay. Say you want it sent to you. This is problems that happened in the past years intertwined with this, where you really do want that letter. Okay. If for no other reason, it's for nostalgic reasons. So you could print it out and hang it on your wall or something like that, right? But really, you want it for other reasons. Theoretically, your letter is supposed to be printed out and signed by both you and your guardian. Okay, so I don't even get, there's a little double talk going on there. The fact that you literally don't need the paper, because if it needs to be signed, that's confusing. All right, but what they might do is have you sign it on My Schools. So this might be a little out there. Um, but give it to the end of Monday, and definitely contact your guidance counselor at that point. And it could be Monday night you contact the guidance counselor. So when the guidance counselor logs on in the morning, Tuesday morning, they're right there and ready to do this for you. All right, because it could be your name got lost. Every year in all these systems, there's kids who take the SHSAT and never get a score. There's kids who apply to My Schools, especially when they use the guidance counselor. Sometimes when you use the guidance counselor, your info gets lost. I don't know why. The wrong ID number is used, the wrong OSIS number, whatever the case might be, right? So just if you don't get it by test day, you want to have a confirmation by somebody. And if you contact the guidance counselor, don't do it. If you do it by phone, demand that they send you a receipt, even an email, even if it's a letter from the guidance counselor saying everything's okay. Demand that they email that to you. Okay. So that's E. So 83. Where's 83? Down here. So again, I'm going to look at the illustration. I see what looks like a parallelogram. The one side's 25, the other side's 30, and this is the height. I know it's the height because this is a right angle here. So I know it's going straight up and down, okay? So that's the height of my parallelogram. I don't know yet if it's a parallelogram because things are not drawn to scale. And normally it would have a tick and a tick here, and a double tick and a double tick here, meaning they're the same lengths. Or it might say this is X and this is X, okay? That's ways I know it's a parallelogram without using words, okay? So I still kind of need to go in and figure that out. Yeah, and if you want, you can even ask tomorrow, Monday morning, just to kind of give a heads up, because if something like went wrong for your whole school, you don't want the guidance counselor overloaded all day Tuesday or something like that. And since your test is on Wednesday, this really needs to be done already. And I don't know why the DOE is doing it this way. Okay. But again, if you're grade 9, your test is not on Wednesday. So um, so I've pretty much ripped this apart. I don't know what they want me to do with this. They may want us to maybe get the area of this triangle here. They may want us to get the area of the whole parallelogram. I'm not sure. I'm just making guesses. So now I'm going to actually go into the words. What is the area, that is what they're looking for, of the parallelogram? So now we've confirmed it is a parallelogram. There's nothing else there, okay? So the area of a parallelogram is equal to the base times the height, okay? So 30 is that, and 20 is our height, so we would get 600, okay? Another way to look at this, if you don't know the formula, you should, okay, is that if the parallelogram looks like this, if we take the line that was dropped there here, and we call this shape that's cut off here A, and this triangle, this new triangle, this right triangle, B, if it's a parallelogram, this area right here, and let's call that B prime. B prime is congruent to B. So if we actually take this triangle and yank it out and physically put it here, what we end up with is a rectangle. And we all know that's length times width. So parallelogram is the same, all right? Why are we using 25 and no? But why are we using 20, not 25? Well, yeah, okay, I just explained that reason. Because the underlying math is that we're hoisting the triangle over there. So this is skew information. This is skewing it. That's a length that doesn't help us. If we take this triangle here and throw it over there, you can see that you get a rectangle that's 20 by 30. Okay? So be careful. That's one of the reasons why they gave this. 750 is one of the answers. That's why they gave choice A. But it's not that. Okay? So it's the height. Just remember that. So you guys have to memorize your formulas and also understand them. You have to understand where they're coming about. And the rationale down here of showing you guys that's understanding where the formula comes from. So the area of a parallelogram and the area of a rectangle are the same. All right? I've been talking too much. Too much tutoring. All right, so we're going to go about an hour. If I can, I'm going to do more examples just to get them over with, so we don't have to do an extra live stream stuck in the middle of these. Okay, let me get rid of some clutter on my screen here. because I need to write in this space here a little bit. So on Wednesday, a baker produced 100 more loaves of bread than were produced on Tuesday. So I'm going to take it a sentence at a time and just try to start physically, try to like making note of it. So on Wednesday, okay, a baker produced 100 more loaves than were produced on Tuesday. So on Wednesday, he did Tuesday plus 100. Okay. Okay. So we're up to here. On Thursday, the baker produced 50 fewer loaves than were produced on Tuesday. So this is Tuesday minus 50. Okay. And if you want, we're just building a chart. I don't care to draw the boxes, but if somebody wants to, right, you could do that. If the total number of loaves on all 3 days was 230, so there's actually an extra box here. How many loaves were produced on Tuesday? So Tuesday produced Tuesday loaves. Okay? So how many loaves were produced on that? What we're going to do is just add, we're going to add this up. We're going to add Tuesday plus Wednesday plus Thursday. So we're going to get 3t plus 50 equals 230. Right? If you can't cognitively, conceptually understand the table, it's just mapping the words into the dayage. The dayage is just the number of days. So if the total was 230, then my symbols have to add up to 230 as well. Okay? So there's a t here, a t here, and a t here. That's 3t. And I have 100 minus 50, so that's 50. So then I'm going to subtract 50 from both sides. And I'm going to get 3t equals, what is that, 180? And divide both sides by 3. And then t equals 60. Okay, so now I've solved for t. I'm going to go back and see what the question was. How many loaves were on Wednesday? So Wednesday was t plus 100, right? So that, therefore, the answer should be 160. 84 should be H. Yes, it is. All right, so everybody good on that? So this wasn't so much hard, was that it kind of required your attention to detail and your concentration. It was a word problem for sure that you had to map into a few pieces. So there was some critical thinking skills here for sure, based on how they said to lay it out. Okay, so you don't have to use a table, but you still have to split the days up so that whatever symbolism you use ends up being the 230. All right, so that's 84. Okay, 85 is just a plain old annoying example. Mean is one of your points of center again. Okay, so in any way, I'm gonna look at my illustration first. I jump to the words. I'm gonna look at my illustration first. I have this is what this chart is supposed to be about. The scores in the class. So here's the score and the number of students who got the score. So 5 students got a 90. All right. And I might just figure out some stuff. So no, I'm just going to analyze it. Nobody got a score under 60 apparently. And the score with the highest number of students who got a certain score was 60. And the number who got the lowest was 100. And there's about 20 something students, right? I'm going to just put 2x there, about 20 something students. I don't know where this is going to go. Normally in a question like this, you're going to be asked for the mean. The mean, this is, the median, okay? This is the mean. So what we're going to do is take a sidebar for 1 second. and we're going to make believe it said median, just so you know how to do that too. There are two different terms. Median is the middle number. So median means to take all the numbers and put them in order. So if I had, for instance, 1, 7, and 3, putting them in order would be 1, 3, and 7. And the median says take the middle number. So that would be 3. If there's 4 numbers, let's say it was 1, 2, 3, and 4, you still look at the middle 2 numbers and you divide them by 2. So the median of 1, 2, 3, 4 would be 2.5. Okay? So on an example like this, we don't have time to list out all the numbers. All right? So if this was asking for the median, what you have to do is find the middle number. So this is 9, okay? 5 plus 3 is 10. So what we want to do is start ticking stuff off. So if this is 8, sorry, this is 8. Why did I say 10? This is 8. So I'm done with these two, and I have 1 left for here, okay? So once I do 1 left for here, I'm in here, and now I'm down to 3, okay? And then between it should be clear to you guys that 70 in this case would be the median, okay? All right, but that's not the question. But that's what you would do if it's the median. Just go keep ticking back and forth and keeping track of when one of the numbers overflowed or not. So now let's solve it for the average. So doing the average is more annoying because we actually have to do some busy work here. So this is not necessarily a SHSAT level question, but it's one that's testing your rigor and so on. Is anyone taking the test on February 10th? February 10th currently is a make-up date. I believe they're also sending kids who registered late after the 15th will also be getting that date, at least for grade 8. Okay, so 9 times 6 is 540. Seven times 7 is 49. 8 times 4 is 32. 9 times 5 is 45. And 3 times that is 3, so we get 300. Okay, so what we should be doing is getting 0 here. That's 300. What do we get? 9, 18, I think that's 22. This was garbage. So let me just, that was a 0. Okay, 7 plus 8 is 15, plus 6 is 21, I believe. Okay, so let me just make sure that number's correct, because if this number's wrong, my average is going to screw it up. So mean, just in case you know, is the average. The arithmetic mean they're talking about here. That's the average, and that's equal to the sum of the numbers over the number of numbers. Okay. Whoops, I just messed something up here. One second, guys. My screen is freaking out. All right, let me just make sure that's the right total again. So what I'm going to do is I added my numbers up in a certain way the first time. I'm going to add them up in a different way the second time. So 0, 7, 16, 0, 2, 7, 10, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so it is 21. So now I'm going to add these up. So I need a total for this too. 8, 12, I believe that's 28. So I'm going to do it in another direction. 15, 19, 24. I got 27. Wait, what did I do here? 16, 20. No, 28. Okay. So what I'm going to have is 2100 divided by 28. All right. So I can do that on the side. Uh, 29 goes into 20, goes into that 0. This is, I'm going to guess 9 could work, but none of the answers have a 9 in front of them. All right. So I'm going to try 8. Okay, that's still too high. So I'm going to try 7. Okay, 7 works. So I've already ruled out A and D, right? And we get 196. So we should have 14. So we have 140 here. And I already know if this was times 10, it would be 280. So times 5 must be 140. So my answer should be 75. What question number was this? 85? 85 is C. Okay, yes, okay, we're good. All right, is everybody good on this one? So this one's just an annoying, tedious problem that's of no use. Welcome, people. I see a few people in the lobby now. Please like, guys. Okay. This takes a lot of my time and it's for free. Please like. Smash the like button. Okay. 85. If you guys have any questions on any of these problems as we're doing them, go please ask. So this one's a little different because I normally say look at the illustration first, but each answer is where the illustrations are. So what I might do is a quick clean of that. Okay, their number lines, they all go from -4 to 7, right? They all have a solid block. They're not number lines going like that, where that was number 4 or something or whatever. They're all filled in circles where the bullet hole is. Okay, and they go in different places. So let me just get rid of that clutter I just put there. And I notice that my target, if you will, is an inequality. One second, my computer's got a wait thing flashing on me. Okay, so an inequality is pretty much solved the same as an equality, except for one step when there's a minus sign involved, when you're dividing by a minus sign. So what we're going to do is we need to get the symbol by itself. We're going to subtract by 4 on both sides. So we get x, this cancels out, greater than or equal to, we have 3 minus 4 minus 1. Okay, x greater than or equal to minus 1. Okay, so that seems to be E. That's greater than or equal to, the filled in bullet is that. So that's our answer there, straight up like that. Okay, they gave some other choices for kids who don't know how to solve this. One of them probably goes greater than 3. Yeah, that's G because of that. Another one they threw in the 4 just for fun, which is H. Okay, but E maps that directly into it. You guys good with this? A lot of kids make silly errors on this kind of a question. A lot of silly errors on this kind of a question. And it runs the full gamut between, oh yeah, to I have no idea how to do this. So any questions on this one? All right, I'm going to just keep plowing ahead. The reciprocal of a quarter is added to the reciprocal of 3. So this is pretty much a no-brainer. We're going to map this, the reciprocal of a quarter. So 1/4, its reciprocal is 4/1, okay, or just 4, okay, is added plus, so the reciprocal of 3. So 3 is the same as 3/1, so its reciprocal is 1/3. Okay, so we're adding all these as we go through, so we end up with 4 1/3. Okay, and that's the same as 4 1/3, which is the same as 12/13 thirds. I made a mistake somewhere, didn't I? The reciprocal of 4 is added to the reciprocal of 3. What did I do? I did something wrong there, guys, right? Oh, and they're asking what the answer is. What is the reciprocal of the sum? Okay, so we have to flip this one more time. 3/13. So this is attention to detail, remember? So there's 3 reciprocals of a quarter, of that, and then of the answer. So be careful. So if this is a grid, and I could have maybe gotten that wrong. I normally feed my answers back in and so on, but nonetheless. Right, very good. By the way, you're going to have to tell me what your avatar name means. I think you may have at one point, but it's an interesting name. Okay, so 88, Nauru made a square poster with the side length of 13. So I'm going to take a sentence at a time, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to try to visualize it. So she made a square poster. S equals 13. Okay. Latrice made a square poster with a side length of 15. Okay. What is the difference? That means subtraction in square inches. So they're going to ask for the area between the area of Latrice's area and Nauru's. Okay. So by the way, it doesn't say positive difference. So if for argument's sake, this is Nauru's and this is Latricia's, let's say the area of this was 3 and the area of this was 2. We have two differences. 3 minus 2 equals 1. We also have 2 minus 3 equals minus 1. Okay? But all the answers here are positive, so we don't have that problem. All right? So it wants the area. So this is the area of a square is equal to the side squared. So the area of Nauru's square is equal to 13 squared, and the area of Latricia's square is equal to 15 squared. These are things you guys need to memorize. You need to memorize your perfect squares. The name is random. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You're lying. Okay? So you guys need to know 13 squared just like that. You don't have the time to waste to go over to the side and do 13 times 13. Maybe get it wrong, and then still have to do 15 times 15, and maybe get that wrong. And then you subtract them, you don't know what's going on. All right? So you should know this is 169, and you should know this is 225. Okay, so that's the subtraction you're gonna have to do. 225 minus 169. Okay, that's 2, 1. We get 6. We get 1. That's 1. We get 5. And that cancels out. So I believe the answer is 56. And we would also go through this and double check it, right? And you can always do something like, if I have A minus B is C, then it's also true that B plus C equals A. So if I take 169 and add 56 to it, I should get 225. 9 times 6 is 5. Carry my 1, right? 6 plus 6 is 12. Carry my 1, 225. So I have a way to confirm some of my math, right? I often say there's multiple ways to solve a lot of problems, but this one is pretty straightforward. But we can do our math different ways. The same when I was up here, if you remember, I added this group of numbers in one way, and I did it a second way in another way. I added this group of numbers one way, and I confirmed it by adding it another way a second time. Okay, so you guys have to be doing stuff like that. So that's that problem. Some of these are not too deep, it seems. They almost seem too easy, right? But that's when you need to keep your heads up. Whether they seem too easy, they actually really are too easy. You still need to keep your A game on, because you may have just did all the ELA passages. You might be exhausted, right? And you may have more still to go back to. So be careful with this kind of stuff. 89. So same issue here. It's an illustration. This is what this table is about. That's the thing. That's the number of cups. So oats is 2/3 of a cup. Water is 3 1/4 of a cup. I might on the side, just as an estimate, because the denominators are different, it may not be worth my time to do it. I might say this is about 3 1/4. That's 3 2/3. If I add them up, this is about 4. Okay. I don't know what the question's asking. I'm just trying to get an understanding and start trying to process it in my head as I'm looking at it, right? Okay. Then it says the table shows the cups of ingredients used to make 4 servings of oatmeal. Okay. What is the unit rate for cups of oatmeal per cup of water? So it turns out this 4, I don't believe, is going to be really important. Okay. Let's see. How can I get this on the screen without, let me shrink it down one. Ah. So because they're looking for the unit rate, that's something like miles per hour, right? Stuff like that. Number of iPhones made per day, that kind of stuff. All right. So it's for cups of oats versus cups of water. So what we have is oats per water. This means divide. It's a ratio. It's oats to water, oats to water, oats to water, or oats divided by water. These are all ways of saying the same thing. Okay? So since it's O to W, we're just going to fill it in. So that's equal to 2/3 to 3 1/4. All right? So at this point, all we have to do is solve that. Okay? So what we're going to do is convert 3 1/4, that's 13/4. So we have 2/3, that's equal to 2/3 over 13/4. So some people can't really process this. So if we write this, instead of going up and down, let's write it left to right. We have 2/3 divided by 13/4. Okay. When we do division of a fraction over here, we do that multiplication by its reciprocal. So what we're going to get is 2/3 times 4 over 13. Okay, and that's equal to 8 over 39. Okay, I see that over here in B, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to relook at the problem and make sure that's actually what it says. Okay, we have the two things there. I just want to make sure the 4 servings don't come into play. It seems like the 4 servings was a distractor. All right, that it really doesn't matter. We could have used 4 times 2/3, right? When we wrote this fraction here, we could have said 4 times that, but we would also have 4 times the bottom here too. And 4 over 4 is the same as multiplying by 1. So there's no reason to have done that. It would have just made the arithmetic harder. So we don't need to add that in because it's a constant and it'll just kick out. It comes out with a wash. All right. So that seems to be it. Let me just make sure 89 is B. Okay. Or is everybody good with that one? We saw this problem already. There's some repetition in Form A. We saw this problem a couple days ago when I went over some of the stuff. There was an example talking about something per something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Was it in the grid-ins? Yes, number 60 was similar, where it had apple juice per cranberry juice. So we had apple to cranberry like that. So this is the same kind of a question as that. Okay, 90 is just kind of weird. Okay, what I like to do on an example like this is I will look at this whole thing as if it was an illustration by itself. That's the way I conceptually view it. Okay, just an idea. What is the value of x? This is just a nasty problem that you kind of just need to sweat through. It's messy. The goal in all your algebra is to get x by itself, right? Hello, Roberto. And hello, was that others out there? Again, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, and I shall help you guys. All right. Like I said earlier, there's a few people in the lobby now. If you have questions, please ask them. I don't want this just to be lectures, even though that has its place as well. I love this being interactive and things like that as well. All right, let me try to bring back the tab here. Okay, I'm actually going to blow this one up a little so I can write a little better. So there's 2 groups of things here. These 2 fractions are being subtracted there, and these 2 are being added here. Okay, because these 2 are related to the x, I think everybody can see the common denominator for them is going to need to be 10, and the common denominator over here would be 12. There's an incentive to just multiply that out straight up already and make it 120 or maybe even 60 or something like that. But on some of these examples, you don't know where they're going. So I wouldn't necessarily make it 120 just yet, okay? So let me back off of that just so we can keep the math simple. So what we're going to do is, because you have the space directly underneath here, that's where we're going to put the mappings. So we basically have something over 10 minus something over 10 x equals something over 12 plus something over 12. So this is how I literally would set it up. So the fourth, it's times 3, so that's 3, right? That's times 4, so this is 8. Okay, did I do that right? And I'm going to double check that. Times 3 times 4, right? And then the tenths is 2, so this is 6. And that's times 5, that's 5. Okay, let me just double check that. If you notice, I'm double checking these as I do the problem, because there's no point continuing on with this equation if I have an error in it. 5/10 is a half. 6/10, right? So I'm gonna come down one more time. So 6/10 minus 5/10 is 1/10, and that's times x. So I basically have x over 10, okay, equals 11/12, okay. I'm gonna need to get x by itself, so I'm gonna multiply this side by 10, and then that side by 10. All right. So that cancels out, and I get 110 over 12. We're told in the directions that we should simplify our answers. First of all, we don't see 110 over 12 over here, right? So we need to do that. But we notice this is divisible by 2. So we can get 55 over 6. My tablet is freaking out. Why is that happening? 55 over 6 when you divide the numerator and denominator by the bottom, and that turns out to be h. That's 90. 90 is h. Okay, let's go back down to the regular page size. Is everybody good on that problem? So again, this doesn't really seem like a SHSAT level problem either, but still. Right, you could cross multiply too. This is not the only way to do it. And by the way, some kids will take this problem, if we come all the way down here, and they'll apply the distributive property to it. So technically that would give us 3/5 x minus 1/2 x equals 1/4 plus 2/3. Doing that won't really help you. You can still solve it by doing that, but it's not going to help you. So sometimes in some problems, the first thing you should do is actually do the distributive property. But in this problem, it was worth holding off on it. Normally, it's beneficial, but not always, when the term here is a constant, because this is a number and that's a number. So we have a minus b, which is 2 numbers. Okay, it's slightly different if it was like 5 minus y times x. Okay, in that case, it might have been worth to do distributive property. On this case, it's worth making this into a constant, right? It was 1/10. It turned out this thing right here was 1/10. So going down and doing that sometimes is not worth it. All right. Okay, that's 91. Okay, 92. So 92 is one of the easiest questions on the test, and yet many of us are going to get it wrong. It's a silver plate question, and yet most of us are going to get it wrong. Okay, so first of all, we're going to acknowledge the absolute value, right, is there, and another one here. All right, so we're going to follow PEMDAS. PEMDAS says parenthesis first, and it's also talking about absolute values first, and also things like square root first. There's some other things you should do first as well. Okay, so we're going to focus right now inside the square root. Okay, so we have minus 8. We don't care about the parens, so we just have minus 8. We drop down to minus 12. Okay, minus 17. It's plus minus 17. So it's minus 17. And then minus a minus is plus 31. All right? So minus 8 minus 12 gives us minus 20. All right? Minus 20 minus 30. So we get minus 37. So we have minus 37, right? Plus 31 gives us minus 6, if I did that right. Okay? Because we're still within the absolute value sign, the whole thing here is just 6. All right. So we have 6 minus 24 equals 18. Okay, so if I did that right, 92 should be G. Wait, sorry, I did that wrong. Right. It's 6 minus 24, so it's minus 18. So sorry, it's F. Right? So like I said, it's so easy, many of us will get it wrong. So you have to make sure your attention to detail is there. The minus signs are your death. Right, a skull or whatever. Arg. Right? Minus signs are the boon. All these PEMDAS problems are almost always gotten wrong because of the minus sign. Almost always. All right, I might make the next question the last problem. Let's see, that's not fitting on the screen. Wait, we can get on the screen there? Yeah, we can. No, we can't. So I'm going to look at my illustration again. Cell phone sales by color, that's what's inside of here. These are the colors. Percent. These are percents of cell phones sold. So this is interesting because I normally like to do a total or something like that, and I don't have real numbers here. So I notice black, they use a real number, and the total is a real number. So that's interesting. So they're probably asking us to solve for K. I'm not sure, right? I haven't looked at the words yet. So I notice one's 8K, one's 30 minus 2K. So it says, the table above shows cell phone sales by color. All right, so this is our main variable, color. What percent of the cell phones were sold were blue? All right, so where do we even start this? Well, if this is the total, then the sum of all these must equal the total. So what we're going to have is 8K plus 30 plus that next term, which is 30 minus 2K. And of course, this is addition. We really don't need the parenthesis, but I'm just trying to point it out to you. Plus, and then K plus 5 equals 100. So if we get rid of the parens, we have 8K plus 30 plus 30 minus 2K plus K plus 5 equals 100. So what we're going to do is combine like terms. We have 8K minus 2K plus K, right? So we get 7K. No, we get 5K. 8 minus 2 is 7 plus 1. No, wait, what am I doing? 8 minus 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And then we have 30 plus 30 plus 5. So what is that? Plus 65 equals 100. Okay, let me just double check that I did that right. In fact, I'm going to use the original table of 8K minus 2K is 6K plus K is 8K. So that's my 7K there. I have 30 plus 30 is 60 plus 5 is 65. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to solve for K. I'm going to have regular algebra down here. I'm going to subtract 65 from both sides. I get 7K equals 35. Divide both sides by 7. And K is equal to 5. Okay, so now that we know what K is, they're asking us, what is the blue? So what we have to do is look at this line here. So we have 30 minus 2K, or 30 minus 2 times 5, or 30 minus 10, and that's 20. Okay, so that would give us B. All right. Do you guys have any general questions about the SHSAT, about the tickets, about the process, about what's next, about anything maybe in 2 months, about any of these questions? Because I'll do this as the last. This was the last question. Anybody have any questions about that again? Cross multiply for 1/10. Why did you substitute 1 with x? Show that again. Okay, let me go back to that problem. Sorry, I didn't see that a minute ago. Why did that? Oh, it did pop up. Okay, sorry. What is that, 90? So we had 6/10 minus 5/10 times x. And we're just gonna assume that that side was right. Equals 11/12, right? So 6/10 minus 5/10 is 1/10. We have 1/10 times x equals 11/12. Okay, we can throw away the parens, so we have 1/10 x equals 11/12. Okay, we could have kept it in this form. So 1/10 x is the same as x over 10, right? Because 1/10 x means 1/10 times x is the same as x over 1. So we get 1 times x is x, and 10 times 1 is 10. So it's an identity. This is just the mathematical identity. All right? Either way, whichever form we use, either 1/10 times x or x over 10, we still need to get x by itself, and then we multiply both sides by 10, and that gives us the 1/10 over 12. All right? Does that make sense to you? When will the scores be released? Well, they're normally released mid-March. Hopefully, they also release it then. The DOE just is currently their official statement is by the last day of school, during the school year. So they're not being committing on it, which is not really helpful to everybody. It's going to take them a couple of days to collect the scores from all the schools. They get sent by express mail by a certain carrier back to the main scoring site. And at that point, technically, it only takes a couple of days. It's a Scantron. They already have all the programs for 50 years now. They probably rewritten them and done other stuff too. But once they have the Scantrons, the things should be a no-brainer. But traditionally it's towards March. Last year, I think it went into April. I can't even remember. Because I remember the problem relating to the Catholic schools, because some families had to put a down payment on the Catholic school payments. In the meantime, the SHSAT results were not out yet. So we have to see. Hopefully, there's no gotchas involved with that. And technically, they could push this all the way into going through the summer, because you don't have school until September or whatever normally. We don't know how they're going to handle that this year either. Maybe your school's going to start in August. I don't know. Everything's just a big mess still. Hopefully, all the flu shots, the COVID vaccines go out, and there's enough to at least do herd immunity. Because children, you guys are not allowed to get the vaccine yet, so it hasn't been approved for that. And I'm still waiting for mine. I'm an old bugger, but I'm not old enough to get the shot yet. So, but I'm quarantining, and I'm trying to use my time like helping you guys and so on or whatever. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? So just keep grinding away, guys. You got 3 or 4 more days. If you can, this is just a thought. You may want to take off Tuesday from school, just so you can either relax or do a couple more problems. Do not spend all day prepping, especially you guys. You over prepped at this point, guys. All right. Um, well, yeah, just keep grinding. You guys are there. You're there. You should all feel comfortable in yourselves. And I plan on doing a pep talk stream at some point, probably Tuesday afternoon, something like that. I have to see. I have I have kids I tutor as well, so I have to put them in the mix as well here. So when I get free time is when I do these streams. All right. Question. Question. I'm waiting. You're in the spotlight. Will we be excused from school? Yeah, on Wednesday you're talking about. Yes, that seems to be what's happening. Um, they're claiming they're going to have food for you guys and a box lunch and all this other stuff. Don't, if you want to do that. But you're going to be exhausted at that point. Yeah, you're only going in for the SHSAT. It's going to be at 8:30. Just make sure you go to the bathroom first. Have your go bag with you. You want your pencils. If you can get a white eraser, get it. Hopefully you're doing your practice test already with a watch. So you want a dumb watch. It can't be a smart watch of any form. You want to make sure you have your ticket, even though it's not required. You want to make sure you have your ID, even though it's not required. If you wear glasses, bring your glasses. If you take medicine, bring your medicine with you and take it just before you go in, or take it in the morning as normal. Dress in layers, so that if you're too hot, you can take them off, and if you're too cold, you can put them on. You can bring water and a snack with you in your bag. Some proctors will let you unopen it and put it on your table. Some won't let you use it until afterwards. Okay. Again, try to plan to go to the bathroom as soon as you get there. And a lot of schools, I believe, you're going to kind of be meeting in the cafeteria. They're going to process your ticket, tell you where to go. So I guess it makes sense to go to the bathroom as soon as you enter the building, if they let you. If not, just insist you have to go to the bathroom, because why go to the bathroom during the actual test if you don't have to? And of course, if you have to, go. But the point is, you don't want to go to the bathroom 15 minutes into the test and then like 2 hours into the test. You really just want to go to the bathroom during the test itself, one time at most. Okay, so try to plan that out. And if you just tell them I really have to go, they can't negate that. All right. This has to be real and pragmatic as well. Can we bring our own water to the test? Yes, they might make you take the label off of it. So anything that has a label, take off of it first. All right. I have a question. I feel like I'm going to flunk the math sections. What do I do? Well, I would replay what I just discussed here. We're now doing a cover-to-cover review. Remember, it's important to stay calm during the test and just do your best. All right. I have hundreds of hours of math YouTubes. You should definitely look through them. Make sure you know what all the topics are. Go definitely, if you haven't yet, do a practice test. Things like that. Okay. And if you want, you can replay this video because I'm going through some of the actual problems on the handbook. In fact, this is the 15th one of them already for this year. You could also look at my site, GregsTutoringNYC.com, and I have links to a whole bunch of stuff. I have things like the problem of the day that I do, POTD. Again, go to my main site, GregsTutoringNYC.com, and I have a whole bunch of links to there. Have a song in your heart while taking the SHSAT. Absolutely, absolutely. Remember, this is not the end of the world. Geometry is my weakest point. Well, I cover a lot of geometry and a lot of these things, and I have hundreds of hours of YouTubes, some just about geometry. So go to my YouTube channel, look through, search for the word geometry. Again, from my site, Especially, I have a link on the beginning of my site to the SHSAT 9. That's where I have most of my geometry YouTube, so at least ones I can remember that I put in links to there for that. All right. Remember, the SHSAT's not the end of the world, and on test day, it's a test day. Is a day to have fun, just relax and enjoy all the fruits of your labor. You worked hard to get to a certain point. If you run into a hard problem, cool, that's good. The test is not supposed to be easy. So if you run into a hard problem, just do it or skip it. It's one question out of 114, right? This is ranked scoring. It's not about getting a perfect score. Nobody gets a perfect score on this test. So just do your best and figure out what the choices are, and use your logic sometimes. If you don't know the answer to a question, make your best educated guess and just move on. Every new question you should look at as if it's a brand new test. If you're on question 10, just focus on 10. If 11 was hard, we'll skip it. If you're at 15 now, you flipped all the way to 15 from 10. That's cool. Make believe that's the beginning of the test again. Just reset your brain on every question. Relax and get through it. Okay? Definitely have a strategy. So if you did a bunch of practice tests already, you should be familiar with how the SHSAT's set up, how the different sections are, and work your way through it. Should I do the grid-ins first? Should I do a multiple choice first? Should I do the revising editing first? Should I do the reading comprehension first? Even within the reading comprehension, do I skip poetry? Am I that good in poetry that I should do it first? Have a plan that you actually test it out too. Do a practice test where you're not only rehearsing the problems, but you're also rehearsing how you're going to progress through the test, including pacing it and timing it, and knowing when to skip something, right? It's important to know when to skip something. Is the SHSAT harder than the practice test? Yeah, first of all, there is no the SHSAT. On test day, there's multiple versions of the test, but I believe most of them are actually harder than the handbook. How many questions will be graded? 47 on each section, so 94 questions altogether. I'm doing the math and then the ELA. Working backwards helps me a lot. Yeah, I mean, everybody's different, so it's going to be a different approach for everybody. Remember 20 of field questions, which is another reason to skip a question. Why would you waste 15 minutes on a problem that may turn out to be the field question, even if you get it right? If you should be pacing yourself about a minute per question, if you spend 15 minutes on one question, you could have answered 14 other questions theoretically. Certainly 10 more of them, right? So that's the way to look at it. This is about a risk analysis as well. It's about using your critical thinking not only to solve ELA, using your critical thinking not only to solve the math, but using your critical thinking and organizational skills to try to meander through a complicated test like this, right? And when you get into a specialized high school, they're no picnic. So this in some ways is like a dress rehearsal, even though it's not actually going to the school, but the schools are very rigorous and demanding. So the test is rigorous and demanding as well. All right. It's an interesting test for a number of reasons. And it goes back and forth. We did a few problems just now that were fairly trivial, but they're so easy to get wrong. So again, it's about your attention to detail, about how precise you're being, how concise you're being, how you're processing things in real time and under pressure, things like that. Okay. What else? What other questions you guys got? Please like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, Samiha, if you have not yet. And as I do more of these, I'm going to keep doing some more over the next few days. But like I said, I have hundreds already. Hundreds of hours, hundreds of videos about specifically just about the SHSAT. There's some that just cover question and answer periods. Some are about a certain topic. Some like this one are general where I just go cover to cover. Some I only cover grid-in. Some I only do SHSAT 9. What are your thoughts on the High School of Applied Science? They're all great schools. There's no way to go wrong here. There's really not. And you should just make decisions based on like how far away is it from your home, what's your travel schedule going to be like, things like that. But it's a great school. They're all great schools. You can't go wrong with any of them. And if you don't get into any, there's still other great schools. There's a whole bunch of great schools in New York City. There's the two Bards, there's Beacon, there's Townsend Harris, there's Eleanor Roosevelt, there's Goldstein, there's Millennium, there's Midwood. Just the list goes on and on and on. There's a lot of good schools. Okay? Now that the district requirements is waived, and some of the screening requirements are going down, High School of American Studies, right? Yeah, same thing. Sorry. Lehman. It's still a great school. I want to go to the High School of American Studies, right? Which is more. That's not really a STEM school, but since New York State degree, especially if you get an advanced Regents degree, you're still going to have to take most of the math and science classes, and obviously the English Regents and stuff like that or whatever. So, anyway, it's a great school. You can't go wrong with it. Some of this gets to be a blur to me sometimes. So sorry, I said applied science before. You know, confusing one of my kids went to the High School of Applied Communication. So I'm tired right now, which is why I stopped on that problem I do. Yeah, and it's interesting. It's a smaller school, but still it's still cool. What other questions you guys got? Or do you guys have? And probably tomorrow, I'm pretty busy tomorrow, so I might just only do a problem of the day. I have to see, or I might not even be able to get to that. So if some of my students change their schedule around, I'll just continue on with the problems. Or I think we ended at 91 or something like that. If not, we'll do it on Monday or whatever. And again, I'm gonna eventually do the problem. There's grade 9 problems in here too, even though I believe I did them over the summer. So if anybody wants to get a heads up on that, I believe I already did the grade 9 questions from this handbook during the summertime. So you're gonna have to go into my channel and find any music we should listen to. I'm the kind of person who doesn't work with music, but obviously it depends on the person. I honestly think it distracts people, including people who say it doesn't distract them. Um, and of course, on the SHSAT itself, you're not allowed to have earpods or earbuds or anything like that. So you're not allowed during the SHSAT to listen to that. But some people like classical music when they're studying or whatever. Some can listen to rock and roll. So it's really up to you guys. Some also like the ocean waves and that kind of a thing as well. Um, it's personal. But I think most people who are listening to anything semi distracting will have problems. Um, unless it's white noise. If it's white noise, then you're probably okay. Because let's say you live on a busy street where there's people yelling or buses and stuff going by, um, that could almost be calming in a certain way. So the problem with music, especially music that has words, is you kind of start saying especially if it's a song you like, you're gonna start kind of jiving to the beat and even saying the words, even if they're just in your head. So I believe it is a distraction. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know if any studies have ever been done on anything like this. I'm assuming that's what your question was. If you have a general question, what music should you listen to? Any music you like to. But on the actual test, you're not going to be allowed to listen to music. And you can bring electronic stuff with you, but you can't have it out in the open at all during the test. And anything that has an alarm or a phone that rings or whatever, it should be turned off at some point. Even if you're meeting family later or something like that, arrange where you're meeting them beforehand. And you guys should really be seeking them. What happens is there's a giant mob that ends up at these schools, and people don't end up finding each other. And it might be a day where it's ending up raining and all this other kind of stuff like that. So you could just be, meet me on the corner of this intersection a block away or something, whatever. I don't know. Or once you're coming down the stairs at your school, you could probably turn your phone on and say, I'm walking out the door right now or something like that, all right? All righty. Anything else? There's a bunch of people out there, but nobody's saying anything. Okay, so this test is as much psychological as it is about math and English. And what you want to do is you can psych yourself into terror if you want, and horror and nervousness. You could also psych yourself into the opposite. You want to use your adrenaline and your anxiety in your favor. Okay? Consider this not as this horrible horror thing, but as something that's fun and exciting, and that you're going to use what you feel, your emotions, in a positive way. Okay? Right. We have nothing to fear but fear itself, from Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Okay? So it's only terrifying if you want it to be. Also, if you're proficient enough, you should be at the test on test day really just to have a fun time. Okay? I don't want to say you should be cocky about it. Don't be cocky and arrogant about it. But test day is a wonderful day, and it's basically just like, okay, I went through all this. I'm going to be a boss today. I studied for my whole life. I did extra prep for this. I'm a boss. Today I'm a boss. And that's how you have to look at it. View the test as a bully, right? You're taking the test against 3 entities, okay? You're taking the test against every other kid. You're taking the test against the test itself. And you're taking the test against yourself. So you're taking the test against every other kid. You're taking the test against itself. And you're taking the test against yourself. And each of those, you just want to view this is a bully, and I'm going to kick this bully's butt. That's it. There's nothing to be terrified about. And use your adrenaline. And that's important to have the adrenaline, because otherwise you're like, oh, this is boring, this sucks, that kind of a thing. You're taking it serious, so that's a good reason to have an emotional response. But you want to use that emotional response in a favorable way for yourself. Okay? So don't view it as terrifying. Remember too that if you don't get into a specialized high school, that's not what your whole life is about. Your whole life is not just about going to a specialized high school. It can't be. Life is more than that. Okay? And like I said a minute ago, there's a lot of good schools anyway. And you want to have the character and the demeanor to hold yourself high no matter where you are. Right? So that's the kind of thing you want to get out of that. All right, guys. I think we'll wrap up here. Peace out, everybody.